Okay, so chapter 9 is all about adding levels. We're going to add one level to our game, one more level, anyways, just because as you can see, each one of these scenes technically counts as a level. So we've got our functioning menu. Let's go ahead into our scene game right here. The first thing I'm going to want to do is make an enemy. So I'm going to go onto a different layer right here, a blank one. Shift S and cursor to center will center my cursor. Now I'm just going to make a quick enemy. I'll go into default mode for that just to model easier. Okay, so we have a spider. I'm gonna go over here to the object panel. I'm gonna name this enemy boss 1. I know in the chapter it just says enemy boss, but I just want to dispel a little bit of confusion later on. I'm just gonna call it enemy boss 1. We will have an enemy boss 2. So I'm gonna add a material, which I'm gonna call, most importantly, enemy boss 1. Now I guess I'll leave the no, I won't. I'll change them a bit. I'm just going to add a simple material. And let's go ahead and make him. That's cool. Alright, so he's green. We've got our material named. Good. Now he's on this separate layer. Let's go ahead. We got to move him to this layer right here, this top one. So I'm going to press M. I'm going to move him to that top layer. Now I select the top layer. And there's our enemy boss. So if I move him back, he is now in our scene. Wonderful. Oh, I'm also going to want to move him up a little bit so he's above the floor. Good. And the first thing I'm going to want to do to get this guy functional, we're going to have to add some physics to him. So physics panel, go ahead and add character, actor, and check collision bounds as well. Alright, and don't forget, if you went into default mode to model, go back in to game logic. Alright, so that takes care of step 2. We've added physics. We've got our boss all good with the collision bounds. Let's go into step 3 right now. This is gonna, first of all, help us out a lot. We've been talking about this. Let's finally name scene game to level 1 so that we know what our first level is. It's this one. Now, go ahead, hover over here, the plus sign. Click on the plus sign. We're going to link all the objects in level 1 to level 2. That's going to make it kind of hard to reuse enemies and adjust their settings, but we'll make it work. So right now, we'll link objects. Now, the level of the name has changed to level 1.001. We still have our level 1 here. Now we're on level 1.001. This will be our level 2. So name it level 2. So we now have level 1 and level 2, and they look identical. They also behave identically. In level 2, if I press start, I can still kill all the guys just as normal, and there's my boss. Okay? Good. So we've got our level 2 set up. We're going to be working, though, on level 1 for now. So go back into level 1. Once again, I just clicked down, and I selected level 1. Alright, so let's add some functionality to our boss right now. We've got him selected. If you don't have him selected, just right click. Go into your camera mode, and it shows 0. Awesome. So we're going to move him to the outside of this camera. But to keep, so let's just go ahead and press G and X right now, and just move him over there. Alright, so now that we know he's on the outside of the camera, go into top view, press 7, rotate him. And then I'm going back into camera view. I'm going to move him like down here. Okay, so that's fine. So my boss is over here now, outside of view of the camera. Now I'm going to leave him selected. We want him to wait outside here for a certain amount of time. Now that could be anywhere from like 2 seconds to however long you want, minutes if you want, but we're going to try and shoot for like between 10 and 15 seconds. The first thing I'm going to add then is a delay sensor. This is where I'm checking both of these. This is where we set how long he waits. For my actual game, I set him to 800. You can play around with this if you want. It doesn't really matter. For testing purposes, we're going to lower this down to like 100 or 150 so he doesn't wait that long. Let's go ahead and add an AND controller. hook those up. Then we're going to add an edit object actuator and a motion actuator. Here it is. I'm going to hook these up. So I'm going to add track 2 for edit object, and then I'm going to track the ship, our hero ship. There he is. And we're going to make him move kind of fast. We'll say 0.20. So now, after waiting a delay of 800, so default 60 per second, so about a few seconds, we're gonna track. It's gonna follow the ship at a speed of 0.2. So let's go ahead now, and I'm gonna minimize these. We have to add a collision sensor for any time we shoot a laser at him. So let's go ahead and add a collision. We're gonna select this M/P button. Our laser material, I don't know if we've actually named it yet. If I right click on it and I go into the material tabs, yeah, we haven't named it yet. So let's call it laser beam. There you go. That's the name of our material for our laser. Go back into our layer 1 where our game is, and now if we select our boss, we're gonna be able to choose laser beam from this selection. So anytime the laser beam material collides with our boss, we're gonna set something to happen. So and we'll hook them up. The actuator we're gonna add is a scene actuator, and we're gonna add another scene actuator. So when the laser beam hits our boss, we want two things to happen. First, we want to remove our scene, and the scene we want to remove is level 1, the level we're on right now. And then we want the scene to be removed, and at the same time we want to start our level 2. Okay, there we go. So now let's go ahead and minimize these. Oops. So the last thing we gotta do is we have to set our hero's ship to react to the boss if the boss ever hits him. So I'm going to minimize these. This is the logic brick for our hero ship in level 1 once again. Now remember, our our material name is enemy 1. So let's go ahead, let's add a collision. We're going to set it to property, and I'm going to select enemy boss 1. So there he is. Anytime now the enemy boss 1 material collides with the ship, we're going to set something to happen. So and then we're going to add a scene actuator, and we're going to set the scene to the game over screen. So if we get hit by the enemy boss material, the game over screen comes up, and if the laser beam hits our enemy boss, we're going to remove level 1 and call level 2. So let's see if that works. Oh wait, hang on. I want to go ahead with my boss selected. The delay, I'm going to lower it to 200. There we go. So now he's going to wait for a little bit. So we don't see the boss yet. We don't see the boss yet. Here's the boss. If I shoot him, alright, we switched to level 2. Good. He was also facing backwards. And the level 2 boss also kills me. Let's go ahead and change his rotation real quick. I'm gonna have to Alt R and then Tab, and then I'm gonna have to apply this. Oops, apply this modifier. Then I can hit Tab, R, and around. There we go. So let's see if that works now. Does he face me? Yes, he does. Okay, so that was the easy part. Now the more difficult part. It's not actually more difficult. Go into level 2. We just need to make sure that all of our enemies are named differently while retaining their functionality. So I'm going to select all 4 of them. Right click, and remember we're in level 2. Right click your boss, hold shift, and then right click each of these guys. If you accidentally click like the plane or something, hit Control Z and you'd undo that. Alright, so I've got just these guys highlighted right now. I'm going to press Shift D. Let's move them back so we can easily tell which one's which. They're back and over. Okay, got that done. Now I want to delete my old guys from level 1. So delete them. Okay, now let's do a check real quick. This boss, let's see what he's named. Enemy boss 1.001. Good. So we know that he's a copy, but not the exact same boss as the level 2 boss, because the level 1 boss is still named enemy 1. So in level 2, let's make sure this guy's named enemy boss 2. Awesome. And each one of these guys then, enemy 3, enemy 5, enemy 4, they should be different. In level 1 it's enemy 1, enemy, and enemy. Okay, good. So they're different. Now if you'll notice, when we play our game, we can still shoot them the same, just like in level 2, and they can still damage us. It's because all their code's still intact. The first thing we'll do, let's add new materials to these enemies so we can make them look different in level 2. So I'm going to click on them. I'm going to have one of the enemies selected. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to click on the materials tab. Right now they're colored skull black. So let's remove this. Press this minus sign. Skull black. So you'll see that he is no longer the skull black material. Press new. Change this guy's material up. Make him a different color. We'll make him purple. Alright, I'm going to name this guy enemy 2. That's his material, enemy 2. So these same guys, I'm going to click on him, minus sign, click on enemy 2 to assign it, right click, minus sign, select enemy 2 to assign it. So now we've got enemies of a different color, and watch what happens if we try to play our game. If they hit us, it doesn't do anything, but we can still shoot them. Okay, so now we have to make our hero react to their material. So this is, once again, enemy 2. Go into your hero ship, and we're going to have to add another collision. So exactly how this all is set up. I'm going to move this up a bit. We've got to add a collision, a material collision. We're going to make him collide with our purple material, which is enemy 2. We're going to add an AND controller. And then we're going to add a scene, hook it up, and we're going to set the scene to game over anytime they touch us. So here we go. If they hit us, boom, game over. So now we've got that working. Let's go back into level 1, make sure our enemies are still functioning there. Boom. Alright, let's make sure we can fire at our enemies in level 2. Make sure you're in level 2. And I think we already did that. Yep. Alright, cool. So everything still works. The cool thing is, now that we've done this, if we want to make our enemies move faster, we can, because they're totally different enemies. So in his simple motion, I can set him to point, to, let's try 5. That might be really fast. And let's set these guys also to 0.25. Remember, we're just selecting them and we're in their motion actuator. Let's see how that works. Oh, they're really fast. Yeah, they're really fast. Okay. Alright. Cool. So I'm going to also duplicate some lights just to make it a little brighter. G, Shift D, Shift D, Shift D. And I just kind of move them around. Now if I play my game, it should be a little brighter. Oh, it's a little too bright now. Alright. I'm just going to remove this and just leave the second one. Okay, there we go. So we've got the enemies in level 2 done. If I were you, I would save your game at this point. If it's functioning correctly. Alright, so we've got our enemies done. We just have to now duplicate the floor in level 2 to change the color and change the color of the enemy material. So let's see, the enemy is enemy boss 1 still. So let's do the floor first. Right click to select the floor, and notice I have the cube selected. If you hit Z to toggle wire mode, you can see exactly what you do have selected. So I've got the floor selected. I'm gonna join these. Wait, join. And then move this down. Good. So the floor is selected. Notice over here, this is a tab we don't, or a panel we don't use much, but we should get in the habit of using it. Right now, it shows I have cube selected, but this is the cube from level 1. All right. I don't want to be in level 1. Close level 1. Open up level 2. Oh, we should be in level 2 anyway. Open up level 2 and right click on it. Now I'm in level 2. I've got the cube from level 2 selected. That makes up my floor. Level 2, cube selected. If I hit Shift D now, Shift D, and then enter. I'm going to hit enter to set it. Now, you can't see it, but I have 2 cubes here because I duplicated it. I didn't have the cube 001 before. It was the cube. So now I'm going to select the cube. And if I don't know, see the white switching over here? I want to select the first cube. Cube. I don't want to select my new cube. I'm going to press X to delete that cube. Now all you see is cube 1. That's good. Just so I don't get confused, I'm going to come over here to my object panel. I'm going to name it level 2 floor, just so I know what it is. So it says level 2 floor right here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to set a material to it just so we can tell that it's at a totally different level. Let's go ahead and just make it like something not too obnoxious. Let's make it like a rough shade, or who cares? We're just gonna put it this blue. Alright, that works. So level 2 floor, level 2 floor material. Awesome. Let's see how that works now. It looks pretty bad. We haven't done any lighting yet, but I'm just gonna do one more up here. No, you know what I'm gonna do? You don't have to do this. I'm just doing this for my scene, just for right now, just so you guys can see the screen better. That looks better. All I've done is darken my enemies a bit and lighten this up and just add a sun lamp. The last thing we've got to do is the boss. So right now, if we go into his material, he has enemy boss 1. If we look at this boss, this is our enemy boss 2. So we're fine because it's not the original boss. We're okay to take off the material and we can add an enemy boss 2 material. Now if this is getting confusing, just remember all my 2 things are on level 2. Anything without a 2 is on level 1. So enemy boss, I'm gonna make him like, let's make him this crazy red color. Okay, that works. And we also already called it, oops, enemy boss 2. Now we just have to make sure our player ship reacts to him. So add another collision sensor. Collision sensor, material, enemy boss 2. When enemy boss 2 material collides with our ship, we're gonna say that a scene is called, and that scene is gonna be screen game over. There we go. So let's see, level 1. Okay, actually let's just go level 2, see if it works so far. And on level 2, I'm going to move this guy over here so he comes from a different direction. Haha. Start. I'm shooting, I'm shooting, I'm shooting. If I shoot my boss, it just restarts the level over. Okay, all we need to do now, we need to make something happen in level 2 when we actually shoot the boss, because right now if you look at the boss logic, if he gets shot, it just starts level 2 again. We don't want to start level 2 again. We want to add like you win splash screen. So let's go up here, let's add a new scene. We're in a blank screen, good, and you should be very familiar with this by now. If you're in user perspective, press 5 to go into ortho. That just makes it easier to model. Press Shift A, add a camera, and the camera spawned not or already rotated, so press Alt R to rotate it. Once again, Alt R makes the camera point straight down. So now I'm in front view. I'm just going to press G and Z, or I could grab the blue arrow and just drag it up. Now press 0 to go into your camera mode. Awesome. Deselect the camera by pressing A, press Shift A, and add a text object. So now, and my camera is pretty far away, so well, I don't care. Let's just make the text bigger. Press S to make the text bigger. And we're going to say, press Tab to go into edit mode. You win! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Fantastic. Now remember, I'm going to press Alt-C to convert this to a mesh. You can use whatever font you want, don't forget, before you press Alt-C. I'm going to add a material. Let's just make this black. Alright, that looks whatever. We're going to call this scene You Win. Awesome. So now if we go into our render view, and we gotta be in Blender Game, if I hit start, it just looks like that. Fantastic. Let's go back into level 2, and we're gonna say anytime the laser hits this guy, instead of setting they're gonna remove level 2. And remember, this is with our enemy boss selected. Oh, not in ortho 5. Our enemy boss selected. So we're just going into those scene actuators, moving level 2, and we're setting You Win. So now let's see if that works. Fire, 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 fire. I shoot him. You win. Alright, we won. So if we get to level 2 and beat it, we win the game. We can add some final tweaks. My boss right here, I'm going to make him go at 0.35, just like super fast. And we're going to hold the delay. Let's just put it till, you know, like 400. And then in level 1, I'm just going to set the delay on the boss to 300, you know, just whatever. Okay, so we've got level 2 done and level 1 done. If we play our game now, let's go from the menu screen. And let's do this. I'm gonna press start. Here's my game. You can't see my cursor, but I'm gonna hover over the play button. There it is. I'm gonna hover over the exit button. There it is. I can see my cursor. So let's make sure our exit button still works. It works. I'm gonna start it again. Let's go ahead and press our play button this time. Play. Here's our first level. Let's hit the boss. Let's get killed. Alright, the boss kills us. Game over. Good. Let's start again. Play. You just want to keep running through your game. This is called testing for bugs right here. So making sure everything works. Now if I shoot my boss, I go to level 2. Here we go. These guys are going pretty fast. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. If my boss hits me, I die. Let's try it again. We're just testing to make sure everything works. Alright, so I win. Alright, I've got a full-fledged game. Now, Chapter 9 is not over. We still need to add level text, like level 2 down here to indicate what level we're on, and level 1 down here. However, I'm going to include that in Chapter 10, so the next video. And that's only because Chapter 10 is kind of like a catch-all. It's just we're polishing the game. As it is right now, our game works fine. So in Chapter 10, we're just going to add more detail to it. It's just going to basically be a wrap-up, adding sound effects, adding textures, and adding some more small details to it.